In Deep Rock Galactic, there's 3 main things that give you more XP from the missions you're playing. Longer missions, missions with more objectives, and harder difficulties all increase the amount of XP that you get paid out. But what's really funny is that if you're trying to level quickly, you're actually better off playing the easiest missions in the game. In this video, I want to show you the 3 best missions to farm for leveling quickly in Deep Rock Galactic, where you get about 600 to 700 XP per minute if you're not trying too hard, or 800 plus XP if you're going all out. Farming these missions will guarantee you a class promotion every 7 to 8 hours, give or take depending on your load times. The first thing though is you're going to be using the same perks on every class in each mission. Here's the best perks I found for farming after testing all of the perks over dozens of missions. Use dash and use it every time it's off cooldown so you can move through the mission as fast as possible. You're also going to use Born Ready for auto reload, Veteran Depositor so you spend less time depositing in Molly, and to carry more minerals, use the Deep Pockets perk and the bigger minerals bag on your class armor. Also, here's a bonus tip that a lot of players don't know. You should always activate the machine events you see in a mission because they're literally free XP. Even if you ignore the machine event and keep working on the mission objectives, you still get the full amount of XP when that timer runs out. Hey, if you want more people to talk to about Deep Rock Galactic, join the Solo Player Sanctuary Discord I run, where solo players are safe to ask questions and learn more about the game. Link in the description below. Thank you. The first mission type to look for is the most straightforward and simplest mission in the game, mining expeditions. But the thing is, you don't want just any mining expedition. Mining expeditions on the low end give too little XP for your time, but the ones on the high end take way too long for the XP that you get. The perfect mining expedition that you're looking for is right in the middle. 250 Morkite, Cave Link 2, and Cave Complexity 2. And this next part is really important, so make sure that you're paying attention. You want to be on Hazard level 3 for this. Hazard 3 is like Hazard 2 where you're pretty unkillable and enemies don't really pose any threat, but the extra XP you get from Hazard 3 just pushes you into that range for great farming. The goal is to finish this mission in about 7 minutes to get the XP rate that we're looking for, so make sure you always have Bosco working on a mission objective. Now, here's the build that you should run for each class. For Driller, you want to use an EPC mining build so that you get mission objectives a million times faster. I also recommend the Sticky Flame build for your flamethrower so that enemies basically kill themselves. For your EPC, in tiers 1 and 4, go increased ammo so you can do more mining, so the extra ammo helps you get through the mission. In tier 2, Heat Shield reduces the heat you generate while EPC mining. This way you overheat less and spend more time mining. More time mining means faster missions. In tier 3, Crystal Capacitors also helps you finish missions faster. The faster charge speed means you're waiting around a lot less for your EPC mining. And finally, in tier 5, the most important mod in this build is Thin Containment Field. You literally cannot EPC mine without this mod. For overclocks, run energy rerouting for more ammo and faster charge speed. If you don't know how to EPC mine yet, subscribe to the channel so you get recommended that video when it goes live next week. For engineers, we're going with a wave clear build. Since we're running Haz 3, I go with magnetic pellet alignment overclock on the Warthog shotgun. In tier 1, I go Supercharged Feed Mechanism. Tier 2, I go loaded shells. Then high capacity magazine in tier 3, bigger pellets in tier 4, and minor adjustments in tier 5. This build basically one-shots most bugs and makes quick work of Praetorians if any of those enemies are in between you and the mission objectives. Otherwise, I just ignore them all completely. For my secondary, I use a Pack Rat Deep Core PGL. In tier 1, I go HE Compound. In tier 2, I go larger payload. In tier 3, I go pressure wave. In tier 4, I go nails and tape. And in tier 5, I go proximity trigger. If there's a pack of bugs nearby, this build just looks at them and they all go down. You won't be killing very many bugs, but when you do, you want to take out as many as possible as quickly as you can. Since it can be really tough to get hard to reach Morkite or secondary mission objectives, I go as much extra ammo as possible on the platform cannon. For Scout, this mission is really easy since you can grapple everywhere, and by lighting up entire rooms, you won't have any trouble finding mission objectives. I use a Drac Plasma Carbine with the Impact Deflection Overclock build. In tier 1, I use improved thermals with larger battery in tier 2, Gen 2 cooling system in tier 3, overcharged PCF in tier 4, and thermal feedback loop in tier 5. To move even faster through the mission, I use my favorite build in the game, a special powder jury-rigged boomstick build. Just shoot your feet or behind you when you jump to rocket leap to mission objectives, or to move even faster through the mission. I use expanded ammo bags in tier 1, double trigger in tier 2, expanded ammo bags again in tier 3, improved blast wave in tier 4, and fear the boomstick in tier 5. On Gunner, you might have a little bit of trouble since he's not very mobile, but what you want to do is have Bosco grab the Morkite since it's usually the hardest to get, and then use zipline to secondary mission objectives. I love the Hurricane guided rocket system right now for wave clear when I need it. I use overtuned feed mechanism overclock, increased blast radius in tier 1, bigger jet engineer in tier 2, 2, nano missiles in tier 3, zip fuel in tier 4, and uncontrolled decompression in tier 5. For secondary, I use a single target Bulldog build just for the random Praetorians that get in my way. On the Bulldog, I use the Elephant Rounds overclock with Quickfire Ejector in tier 1, expanded ammo bags in tier 2, hollow point rounds in tier 3, high velocity rounds in tier 4, and Deadeye in tier 5. This mission is pretty straightforward. Run around searching for the Mordecai and secondary mission objectives you need. Make sure to have Bosco do all of the heavy liftings for you while you're working on something else. And don't forget, you're going to want to be farming this mission in about 7 minutes for some great XP rates. The second mission for leveling quickly in Deep Rock Galactic is elimination missions with 2 dreadnoughts that you need to kill on Hazard 2. On Hazard 2, using some of the most powerful single target builds in the game, you can bring a dreadnought to their immunity phase instantly. The way you want to run elimination missions is by grabbing all of the secondary objectives you can on the way to the nearest dreadnought cocoon. Pop that dreadnought and then start heading towards the next dreadnought. Keep grabbing all of the secondary mission objectives along the way while the dreadnought follows you. Then you fight all the dreadnoughts at the final cocoon. When you kill them all, call the drop pod and hunt for the last of the secondary objectives if you still need any, but usually you have enough at this point. At worst, you just need a couple more. On Driller, I use a Face Melter flamethrower build with a Sabata, throwing axes, and 4 satchel charges. On the flamethrower in tier 1, I use high capacity tanks, unfiltered fuel in tier 2, more fuel in tiers 3 and 4, and heat radiance in tier 5. This gives me both the damage I need as well as some extra ammo just in case. On the Sabata, I use an explosive reload build for massive damage. In tier 1, high capacity magazine, increased caliber rounds in tier 2, improved propellant in tier 3, hollow point bullets in tier 4, and volatile bullets in tier 5. For dreadnoughts, use a flamethrower to break the normal dreadnought shell or kill the Hive Guard's minions. Once the Hive Guard minions are dead, I throw a satchel charge in his face so he'll instantly open up his back once it goes off. For the twins, I flamethrower, impact axe, and Sabata depending on how close or far away that they are. For all dreadnoughts, I use the Sabata and throwing axes to get big damage. On engineer, I like to use a mini shells build for dreadnoughts because it has a really high burst damage with a fast rate of fire. In tier 1, I use Supercharged Feed Mechanism, loaded shells in tier 2, high capacity magazine in tier 3, bigger pellets in tier 4, and minor adjustments in tier 5. I use this for breaking the dreadnought so it opens its actual health bar because the Deep Corp PGL build that I use will one-shot each dreadnought's immunity phase. With the hyper propellant overclock on the PGL, I run extra ammo in tier 1, expanded ammo bags in tier 2, high velocity grenades in tier 3, homebrew explosive in tier 4, and spiky grenade in tier 5. With this build and at this hazard level, dreadnoughts are a joke to kill. On Scout, I use a hipster M1000 classic build with embedded detonators at cause for the majority of my damage. On the M1K, use increased caliber rounds in tier 1, better weight balance in tier 2, extended clips in tier 3, hollow point bullets in tier 4, and killing machine in tier 5 with the hipster overclock. For the Sokovs, use expanded ammo bags in tier 1, Quickfire Ejector in tier 2, better weight balance in tier 3, expanded ammo bags in tier 4, and get in and get out in tier 5 with the embedded detonators overclock. Use the M1K for breaking the armor on dreadnoughts, and then use the Sokovs for the actual health bars. When playing Gunner, I use a Lead Storm minigun build to break their armor, but my main damage comes from an Elephant Rounds Bulldog build. On the minigun, use improved motor in tier 1, high velocity rounds in tier 2, blow-through rounds in tier 3, variable round pressure in tier 4, and cold as the grave in tier 5 with the Lead Storm overclock. On the Bulldog, use the Elephant Rounds overclock with Quickfire Ejector in tier 1, then use increased caliber rounds in tier 2 with hollow point bullets in tier 3, and high velocity rounds in tier 4 with Deadeye in tier 5. If mining expeditions aren't your favorite, or you want to change of pace from farming dreadnoughts, egg hunts are my favorite for leveling, specifically egg hunts where you only need to collect 4 eggs. These missions are extremely fast because you can get an egg or work on the secondary objective while Bosco gets an egg. He'll even carry the egg for you so that you don't have to. When you run this on Hazard 3, just go from egg to egg to egg to egg and ignore the enemies almost entirely. If they keep you from grabbing and depositing an egg or moving forward, sure, go ahead and kill them, but otherwise they can't really hurt you. Sometimes though, you do need to kill a big pack of enemies on you, so this is what I run for each class. For Driller, I use a cryo cannon build with the EPC and 4 satchel charges. The cryo cannon is to completely immobilize enemies when they're getting in the way. The EPC is for mining minerals or an egg instantly, and the extra satchel charges are there for quickly clearing away dirt or popping an egg so you don't need to search for them. On the cryo cannon, I use the flow rate expansion overclock with stronger cooling unit in tier 1, bypassed integrity check in tier 2, improved pump in tier 3, larger reserve tank in tier 4, and cold radiance in tier 5. For the EPC, I use the energy reroute routing overclock with larger battery in tier 1, heat shield in tier 2, crystal capacitors in tier 3, high density battery in tier 4, and thin containment field in tier 5. On engineers, since there can be a lot more enemies that spawn at the same time in egg hunts compared to mining expeditions or elimination missions, I actually like to use the stubby SMG instead of the Warthog shotgun. On the stubby, I use the EM refire booster overclock with upgrade capacitors in tier 1, recoil dampener in tier 2, expanding ammo bags in tier 3, conductive bullets in tier 4, and electric arc in tier 5. For secondaries, I like to use the same pack rat deep core PGL build from the mining expeditions. On scout, I like to use a hipster M1000 classic build with increased caliber rounds in tier 1, better weight balance in tier 2, extended clip in tier 3, hollow point bullets in tier 4, and killing machine in tier 5. For secondary, I still like to use a special powder jury rig boomstick build from mining expeditions because you can move around the map just so much faster. With the boomstick and the grapple, I focus primarily on getting the secondary objective and leave the eggs to Bosco to get. On gunner, I like to use a Big Bertha autocannon build or the same hurricane build from the mining expeditions. If you're using Big Bertha, go high capacity magazine in tier 1, tighter barrel alignment in tier 2, loaded rounds in tier 3, shrapnel rounds in tier 4, and suppressive fire in tier 5. With this build, you either kill the bugs that get in your way quickly at the same time, or they get hit by fear and run out of your way. Either way, they're no longer a problem. So if you're trying to level quickly, run medium length mining expedition missions and 4 egg hunts on hazard 3, or 2 dreadnought elimination missions on hazard 2. Going at a fun but fast pace will get you enough XP to promote a class every 7 to 8 hours, or if you're already close to a promotion, this can be how you finish out your night. Make sure to join the Solo Player Sanctuary Discord if you want a safe place to talk about DRG with other solo players, or maybe even find someone else to play with. Check out patreon.com/legionless for early access to new videos and exclusive content. This helps me pay an editor so I can spend more time creating great content for all of you. Thanks for watching.